Yo guys, welcome back. In the last video, we got some things done, some cool things done like the powered steering, but there's still a lot to do on the car, unfortunately. So in this video, we're gonna tackle pretty much everything that's needed to get this car back on the road. I have made a list, and there's a lot of small things, not like a lot of big things. Like we're not fabricating anything. We're just gonna be fixing some things that are currently not working the way they should. Diving straight into it, we've got a couple things that we need to get done, like bleeding brakes. The car has a misfire right now. Me and my friend Brandon tried driving it the other day. Well, we did drive it around the shop. It just didn't really go that well. It was driving really rough. We don't have any brakes, so that's a big part. We tried bleeding for hours the other day, maybe 4 hours, and the brakes just wouldn't bleed. They just wouldn't get pressure. I'm not exactly sure yet why, but I bought some tools and some something that maybe help fix that problem. So what this is like a vacuum bleeder. I can put my air compressor up to it and it should bleed the brakes just by myself, super easy. It's got a big old container to catch all the brake fluid. I've never used one of these air compressor ones before, but I have used like one of the hand pumps from Harbor Freight, and it works really well, but the one I had broke, and it worked well. Like it worked good, but now that I have air compressors, I should might as well use that to my advantage and throw some real air towards it, some real pressure. So hopefully that figures out my brake problem and it will actually bleed them. I think a lot of it has to do with the hydro that I installed, the inline. This guy right here, I think there's some air getting blocked up in there. We're getting fluid out every caliper, all four corners, but it just won't bleed. So I think there's just got to be air trapped somewhere, and hopefully that air compressor tool helps us out. So brakes, fix the misfire, fix the rear alignment, because yeah, you can see it. No, you can't. Probably can't see the ground, but it's leaving tire marks driving straight, and obviously that's a problem. It's really bad. I can definitely see it with my eyes, like how the wheels are all towed in and out. So we're gonna address that. Also, when I drove it, it was really low, and I didn't expect it to be that low. I was kind of dragging on flat ground, like the frame and the exhaust. So I might have to raise it, unfortunately, but that's gonna be last case scenario, because next week we've got a kit coming in on Wednesday, and I wanna see it low at least once before I raise it with a kit on. After the alignment, there's 2 things inside the engine bay we need to work on. Sorry, 3, including the misfire. The other 2 are, I've mentioned before that I have a coolant leak from the thermostat. So the bottom of the thermostat is leaking. It's leaking right up underneath here. There's a bolt missing. It feels like it's snapped off. Previous owner probably snapped it off, and I just never fixed it before putting it in the car. My own mistake. But we'll fix that. We'll fix the misfire. And I have to fix the fan wiring, because currently it's kind of ratchet. I just have it on a switch inside the engine bay. This was like a very temporary fix, but we'll get a temperature gauge in there and run it off for so it gets warm first. After those 3 things in the engine bay, I think we should be good to drive the car and actually enjoy it. Oh, one more thing. After those 3 things in the engine bay, maybe before, this is all out of order probably, but the final thing that I wanted to address is the interior. In the last video, we added powered steering from a Kia Soul. On the test drive, it performed great. There was literally no issues. It felt amazing. That was the only good thing about the car, I think. But I need to tidy up the interior. This seat is still not mounted, and all the wires, of course, need to be tucked away. Anyways, hoping to get all that stuff done this video. We'll see if that actually comes true or not. You'll probably know by the title. Maybe not. But first, we're gonna dive into the brakes. I really need to get those fixed. It's like the highest priority, of course. You can't stop. Probably shouldn't be going. So first things first, I'm gonna give the air compressor thing a try, and hopefully it actually works. We'll see. Oh, one more thing before I actually dive into the brakes. I noticed this rear wheel felt really weird, like just by wiggling it. So I tore off the caliper and the rotor, and I guess the hub is bad. It's a brand new hub, but it's an eBay hub for these 5-low conversions, but if I shake it, it's got some play all around. So I don't know if the bearing's bad or really what. I'm just kind of frustrated about this, but we're gonna address this probably last. First, I wanna get the brakes all bled and the alignment somewhat figured out before I order a new one of these. To bleed the brakes, I got to throw this stuff back on. I'm gonna throw the rotor and the caliper back on, and see how she does. All right, real quick, I'm gonna run you through the setup. So we've got the air compressor here tied up to this little tank. So that's sucking. This is sucking. And this is blowing. That's the 3 setups. And then I'm gonna put this little nipple onto the caliper, the bleed screw. Up front, I've got a little reservoir extension, and to refill this, I just twist this knob, and it'll dump all the fluid I need in there. Pretty sweet. I think it's gonna work, hopefully. Inshallah. We'll see. I'm gonna go and try this back right one, yeah. I guess we'll see after all 4 bled if it works. Also not sure if I'm gonna run through all my brake fluid, and because I thought I had more, but I don't. Anyways, let's try this out. All right, big progress. This is actually the next day. I was kind of heated yesterday. It was really hot, and I was kind of, I don't know, hot and spicy. So I didn't film the rest of it, but I did end up bleeding the brakes. This is by the way, this is the best tool I've ever bought. This thing right here. So an air compressor and this little guy runs you like 80 bucks. This was 50 used, and then this was like $30 on Amazon. Legit the best thing I have ever purchased in my life. It bled the brakes perfectly, even though we spent hours the other day bleeding by hand with me and a friend, and this just did it in like 30 minutes. It was super easy. I will never bleed anything again without this. I swear by it. That's that. Next, I need to start cleaning up the interior, since now that we have everything kind of situated in here. So I'm not gonna do it tonight because it's 11:13. I came out here earlier and just didn't do anything. I just kind of sat around, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Just sat on my phone. So this is what we're messing with. It's like kind of a mess, and there are wires everywhere. The seat is not in the rear. Probably can't see that, but this seat is not in, the front seat's not in, the back seat's not in, steering wheel's not on. A lot of bullshit over there. So tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, which is the day before 4th of July. And I don't know if I'm gonna come out here tomorrow, but if I do, I'll get the interior tidied up, and that'll be a good segue to finally move away from brakes, move away from the interior and the powered steering, and actually get the car running good. Because next is gonna be figuring out the misfire and then fixing our little coolant leak down here. Coolant leak, super easy. Misfire, it could take a minute, but the nice thing is that it's OBD2. So I can just plug this John in, read the codes. I've got a good feeling about it. I pulled the spark plugs the other day, and they were looking pretty gross. So these were all pulled mid-run. Like I pretty much just shut the car off, revved it up a little bit as it stuttered, and then this is how they look. So you can kind of see the ceramics are all black. You're probably not kind of seeing it, you're probably seeing it pretty clear. But the ceramics are all black, which just means that, of course, it's running rich. Only way you can kind of run rich is, or not the only way, but the most common way is like leaky injector and MAF. And well, I've got 6 injectors that were all new when I bought them. So that's very unlikely, but still possible. But it's more unlikely because all 6 spark plugs look the exact same. They're all like pitch black on the ceramic. So in my opinion, I'm thinking it's MAF. I'm gonna try and clean it and see if that helps. Well, first I'm gonna read codes, and then if it's got a MAF code, well, obviously it's gonna be the MAF. Not obviously, but it's very likely, very likely. I'm gonna stop rambling about that, but I'm excited to get this thing running good, because next week, I've already mentioned it, but we've got some cool cosmetic things coming in, and it would be really nice to have the car on the ground running good and be able to just throw the kit on and, you know, really see the whole plan I've been working on for the past couple months. There may be a big gap between the next clip. That just kind of depends if I come out here tomorrow or not. If I do, you'll see me tomorrow. If I don't, you might see me in like 2 weeks. Anyways, I'll see you then. Bye. Alright, I'm retarded, but it's the next day. And yesterday I said it would be Friday today, but I was wrong. Yesterday was actually Wednesday, so today's Thursday. Don't know if I made any sense saying that, but basically I'm going to work on the car today. I'm going to get the interior sorted out. I'm currently sitting down, waiting to do it. And by waiting, I mean gaining the will to go and climb in the hot interior. But we'll get it done today. I'm going to get everything back together, wires tucked. Hopefully we can sit down in a seat that's mounted and feel like the steering wheel and everything mounted solid. But let's dive into that. Brakes are bled. So this is going to be another step in our list of things to do. This is all the bullshit I got to deal with today. Get all these wires tucked, get the seat mounted. First, I need to kind of wrap all this up and make it look nice. This is all a mess. It's not a mess, it's all zip tied and, you know, pretty neat in their own strands, but I need to loom this. So I've got some Tessa tape and some of that. Basically a combination of these two things. So I've got Tessa tape, which is that, and that is some wiring loom that you can kind of wrap around the wires. So should be not too bad. I'm gonna wrap the big ones up first here, and then I'll move over to the small ones, just so nothing's in the way and all that bullshit. So I'm gonna do two separate looms. I'm gonna do the big ones by themselves, and then I'm gonna do all these small wires together in one loom, just so I can kind of keep them separate, especially since they connect in different spots on the actual ECU. So looking at all these wires, and I feel like I'm not gonna have enough of this Tessa tape, so I might do it kind of sparingly. I ran both of the harnesses because there's two connectors over there. They kind of split off and go to different spots inside the motor. So when I ran out of Tessa tape, all I did was use the loom, the stuff that kind of unwraps, and I put all the wiring in there that go to the two spots. And then put some electrical tape at the Y, and then some zip ties on the ends of the loom. So pretty happy with it. It looks good. The big wires, the big three, which are like power, ground, and I don't even know what the third one's for, but the big three wires is all Tessa tape. I just didn't have enough to finish up this. And honestly, I kind of like how the loom looks better. It feels nicer. I'm not sure that it's as resistant, and definitely doesn't add any structure. This is very flimsy still. As like the Tessa tape definitely adds some stiffness and some rigidity. I don't know if that's useful, but that's what I did. Next, I need to, I think, just by looking at it, I think where I had the ECU mounted in the trunk in the first spot, right back here, is probably not going to work. I think that we're just not going to have enough length, so I'm going to have to move it a little closer. But I think I'm still going to be able to put it in the trunk. I'm just not sure where. Maybe I'll even do back of this back seat. I don't know. We're going to tuck the wires under the carpet, and wherever the ECU lands or wherever I can put it that looks nice, that's probably where it's going to go. I'm not really too picky about it. I really like the idea of putting it back here, kind of by this fender, by this quarter area. I really like that because we've got a ground, so I may have to redo my ground and put it somewhere else depending where it lands. But I just really doubt it's going to reach all the way back here. We're going to try, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. All right, we're going to call it there tonight. Got the interior pretty much back together as far as carpet goes, and the back seats back in. Still got to throw the driver's seat in, got the steering wheel on, whole center console's on, so we're getting there. But driver's seat I'll do next time. I gotta kind of mess with the bracket a little bit down here. It's kind of a pain to get in, but so far it's looking pretty good. Oh, one thing before I leave, my little estimate of where the ECU is gonna have to go is definitely right. It's not gonna reach all the way back in the original spot. So this is everything plugged in right there, minus the power and ground over here. It's not gonna be super difficult to, you know, retrofit and make a little bracket, but it is something I'll have to do. Anyways, that's the huge part done. Pretty happy with the interior right now. I really want to get around to dyeing the carpet black, but I honestly just can't be asked right now. It's too hot outside to pull this out, and Other than that, e-brake feels good, brakes feel good still. I checked them this morning, or when I got out of here, and still have pressure, so that's good, no leaks. Probably gonna do one more cycle of bleeding, because they are a little spongy at the top, but that's not really the end of the world, especially since I have this vacuum bleeder now. This thing's freaking sick. Yeah. All right, we're back. It's the next week, and we have to continue working on the interior a little bit because I didn't finish it last time. We got pretty far, but we still have to throw the seat in, and really that's all. So clean up the interior, pick up everything that's trash and tools, and mount the seat once again to also put on some cool cosmetic things that I just picked up over the weekend. So last time you saw the car, it's like this. I sold the front bumper and really don't have much for it. But over the weekend, picked up new body kit. And I'll show you a little more about that later, but that'll be pretty sweet. We just wrapped up the interior. One thing I didn't show was making this bracket back here. All I did was modify the OEM bracket for the... I just bent it and then mounted it onto the strut tower mounts. Also was able to make the previous ground just route to there instead. That was like a 10-minute fix, but it's nice and done. We need to tidy up some of these other small wires like signal and then this big nasty positive wire, but I'll do that another day. The interior turned out pretty well. One thing I still need to do in here is probably shampoo this if I'm not going to dye it anytime soon. But I also need to make a mount for my engine ECU. That's kind of just dangling down there. But it should mount pretty close to the OEM location, just kind of tucked up in there, which will make it pretty nice. Whenever I do that, I'll hide the rest of that red wire and put the carpet up. But until then, it's going to dangle there. I also need to get the dash or the glove box in. I've got one. I just don't have it in. Probably need to find some hardware and stuff for that, so I kind of put it off. So back seat's in, the driver seat's in, and all of the under paneling is also in. So yeah, that's the finished product. Very happy with the progress today. I think I'm gonna call it there though for tonight. It's almost 11 o'clock, and I've still got to do some things at the crib. So everything else that I have on my list will be for tomorrow and the rest of the week. I think I just gained some free time throughout this week. The kit will be saved for another day. Next time I'm up here, I think I want to try and get the car running good. Then after it's running good, and we can throw the kit on. Very exciting, but that is the plan. Anyways, I'll catch y'all tomorrow when I'm back trying to fix the misfire and the rough running. Bye. Alright, we're back, and today we're going to try and get the car running good. I'll kind of show you what it sounds like right now when it runs. It's kind of rough. Just kind of sounds like a misfire. So yeah, that's what it sounds like. It's running pretty bad. I think, like I said, I think it's gonna be a math issue. First thing I'm gonna do is plug in with the OBD2 connector, and we'll see what the kind of codes we get. Huge news, the car finally runs good. I'm going to attach a video here because it was really a pretty easy fix. It just had a vacuum leak. I checked out the field trims with the OBD2 scanner, and bank 2 was like super lean. And I knew there's some ports on the back side of the manifold, on the intake manifold, that I plugged off at the bottom. They're kind of impossible to see, but they're right up underneath there. And all I had to do was tighten some of the plugs that I put on there. So fix that, super easy, nice to see that. I didn't have to buy anything. It's huge. I'm kind of tired of buying things, so that was good. Next, we've got a couple more things to knock off the list. The last thing we need before I'm like happy with how it drives, and that's just a coolant leak. So fast forwarded a while, but that's all done, that's fixed. It was really just as easy as I said. I just had to replace a bolt and the thermostat stopped leaking. So huge. We have the car running good. We've got a good thermostat, no more coolant leaks. Next, we should probably work on the fan. The fan wiring, like I said earlier, it's pretty janky, and it's just a little switch inside the engine bay that should be put on some sort of thermostat or on some sort of sensor, so it just kicks on when the car needs it, and I don't have to sit and let it warm up for hours in the winter. I have something that can easily fix that, but I've got to find it. Since I moved shops, I've lost a lot of things that I used to have. But basically I'm gonna look around for that and hope I can find it. If not, it's not the end of the world. The part I ordered was like a little, it's like just a temperature stick. It's like a metal rod, and it just, it's like a circuit that completes when it gets to a certain temperature, and you can just stick it in your radiator, like in between your fins, and whenever it gets to, you know, 160, 180, your fan will kick on. That loop will close and you'll have a good connection. So I'm gonna look around for this. I'm probably not gonna find it. I just know it's a really small piece, and I think I took it out of the bag last time I remember. So I'm gonna look through all my crates that I have stacked over there, and hopefully I find it. If not, it's gonna put me back a couple days because I gotta wait for it to get here. I surprisingly found it. It was at the bottom of a box, and thankfully it's still there. But this is it. This thing kind of comes with everything you need to wire in a fan, and supposedly it's adjustable. We're gonna see how adjustable it is, because I would like to kick on a little earlier than what's really necessary, because we're at the track and, you know, car's starting to get a little warm. I'd rather it kick on a little early because I know I'm going to pits usually. Pit or grid, and but yeah, this comes with a bunch of wires and all this. So a couple fuses, a relay, and I honestly don't know how any of this works, so I'm going to read the instructions that I found with it, and hopefully that tells me something. I was kind of expecting it to be like a couple wire, like 2 wires, and a little more. So this might take a little longer. Oh, but that little probe I was talking about is this thing. So if you can see that, it's just a metal probe with 2 wires going in, and that's going to get stuck in the radiator somewhere, and that'll determine like when the fan's going to kick on at what temperature. I think that usually it's determined by the probe that you have, but supposedly this one's adjustable. I don't really see how, because it just goes into here. It does tell you on the back side. So we're looking at the gray one, but I don't even see a gray on here. So I've now read the instructions. Seems easy enough. Power, ground, ignition signal, and outlet power to the fan. And then the fan will also have its own ground. Seems pretty simple. I'm gonna go and do it. And the probe was gonna go ideally in the hot side of the radiator, but we're gonna see, because I don't know where I'm gonna mount this thing at, this relay and this little guy. Also, there's a screw inside there, white and blue thing. That is how you adjust what temperature you want the fan to kick on at. So I can't remember what it said, but lefty loosey, probably for lower temperature. I don't know. I'm gonna do some experimenting, and hopefully I can get a kick on around 170-ish. It's kind of the goal. But yeah, I'm gonna find somewhere to mount this, and hopefully all the wires will reach without me having to extend anything, and it'll be an easy installation. Cool, let's get it. Okay, everything is briefly wired up. It's time to test and see if this works. So I've got power, ground, and signal all ran, and I have it ran, so I should be able to run the fan. So if the probe is at the right temperature with the car off, it'll still run, which I wanted, because if I'm at the track and I'm like overheating, turn the car off, and I don't need to have a switch or anything to keep the fan on while the car's off. So this should work if I can get this thing to light. Cool, nothing to it. It's all working. So now I can clean up this harness a little bit and get it all tidied up because it's kind of a mess right now. I've got this mounted on just this little bracket that was here, but the rest of it, like I don't need these two wires because I'm not running dual fan, and I don't care to have AC because in my opinion, if AC is on, the car's already going to be warmed up enough to where the fan will be on anyways. And this is only a single speed fan, so there's no need for any of that. I'm just gonna chop these two off relatively short and then wrap the rest of this in some harness wrap, kind of like I did for the powered steering. Should be quick and easy. I'm gonna do that and hopefully it looks a little nicer. All right, we're almost done. So previously we just got the fan installed, and or not the fan, but the fan wiring and the relay and everything is all set and good. The last few things we have to do is get the rear alignment somewhat tweaked, at least as good as I can, eyeballed with some toe plates, just because I'm gonna get it aligned at a shop soon when it's on the road and registered. But for now, I'm gonna do as best as I can and just get it pretty close. Once that's done, we're kind of finally on the last step, and that's really just the fun part, is like make it look cool. I'm gonna throw the kit on, but I think it'll be fun. It'll be a cool experience, and we'll get to see the car kind of transform and look a lot different pretty soon. Okay, I got the rear aligned, kind of just eyeballed, looking at both sides and saying it's good. Mostly because I don't want to get on the ground yet, because I'm gonna have to raise it right back up. And honestly, it just doesn't matter. I'm gonna drive it straight to the alignment shop on like the first test drive. But that means we can finally put the kit on. So for putting the kit on for the front end, there's some problems. Well, of course we need mounting brackets and we need mounting holes inside the bumper. But first, I need to worry about the crash bar. The crash bar in this car, it kind of supports the bumper a lot and it holds it up in place. But the problem is, this car was once in a wreck. So as you can see, right in here, there's supposed to be a bolt that can thread in there and hold the crash bar in. The one that's further back, there is there, and it's fine, but the one up front is definitely destroyed. So I'm gonna do some metal work with this guy, and a little flat piece of metalworking block. And then I'm gonna try and do the same thing with this one. This one's not as bad. You can see that there's still some threads there and the nut is still there. So if we can get this one just a little straightened out, I'd be happy. And really it doesn't have to be perfect, but it would be nice to have the crash bar in there mounted somewhat securely, especially since we have all this stuff here that is a little important, I'd say. Alright, we're back out here. I spent the last like 2 days kind of fucking around and trying to put the kit on, but, well, as a lot of people probably expected, Origin fits extremely bad. There's like nothing fits at all. So it's going to take a lot more work than I kind of expected. I've already started kind of trimming some things and trying to fit it up, but it's not going well. And I'm going to have to spend a lot more time on it than I thought, which I'm not really looking forward to because I am not a bodywork person, but I guess I will learn to be. So, car's on the ground right now. I've been kind of doing some things other than bodywork. Not really with this car, but I have gathered a new car. It's not actually mine, but I'm going to work on it for a bit, and that is this car back here. So this is my friend's 240 hatch S13. It's just got a KA in it. It's not really anything special, and it looks like poop. But it also doesn't run, and basically I just need to get this thing running, and interior is nasty. It's not a good looking car. But previously there was some wiring problems, the car wasn't running, and it just wasn't It ran for a little bit and then it just stopped running. And we think it was just a wiring problem. So the owner of it bought a PDM and like a wiring harness kit for engine bay and the chassis harness side. So it's got all new wiring. It should be good once it's all ready, but currently a lot of the wiring is incomplete. The person that was working on it can no longer work on it as they thought they could. So I'm having to take over and get this thing done pretty quick because it also needs paint. And I think the plan is to have it done by November, painted and running, which is a pretty tall ask with what I've got going on. Because I still need to get my car all situated. And really, my car's pretty close. I just need to fit the body kit on. But saying that's close is kind of a stretch even, because it's going to take a lot of time. Anyways, enough yapping. I think tonight, it's about 5:30 or 6. And I think I'm going to try and get at least one piece of the body kit on and looking good. One problem I've been kind of running into is the side skirts. So I think it's like everything's just too short. Like side skirts are too short, bumper's too short. I haven't tried the rear bumper yet, but front and the two side skirts were fitting very, very bad. So I think what needs to happen is the front fender needs to be adjusted a little bit on both sides. So this has, and not up here, which I'm guessing this needs to come back, and that'll help the rear fit a little better. And the same goes for this side. So if you can see without the sun, it's kind of blaring, but it's smaller up here, the gap is, than it is down at the bottom. And so I'm probably gonna pull this fender off and maybe have to adjust that bottom tab to get it where I like it. And then from there, I think going to mount the side skirt is the move. So that's the plan for the side skirts. The bumper, the rear bumper, I need to figure out. I need to take off the old one first, and then we'll throw on the new one and see how it fits. I'm honestly most confident in the rear bumper fitting the best, weirdly enough. Mostly because the front was crashed, and I have some shitty like S13 Sylvia fenders, or at least one's really bad. The driver's side is pretty poor. You might be able to see from this angle, but it's all kind of flared out right in that area. So this is all not really aligned correctly. And I straightened out this corner a little bit, but this needs a lot more work down here. So honestly, I'm gonna wait to put on the front bumper for a minute. I think I'm gonna try and find a good driver's side fender rather than trying to repair this one. It looks just really wavy and just not right compared to this side where it fits a lot better. So, plan for tonight, I'm gonna try and get one side skirt on, and then I think I'm gonna pull the old rear bumper off and see how the rear bumper fits. I'm really kind of confident in it, weirdly. I shouldn't be because the rest of it hasn't fit anything. Hasn't fit at all, but we'll see. Well, I might film a little bit, but I'm not a bodywork guy. It's not gonna be any cool tips and tricks because I'm figuring this out myself. But if I come along anything, I will mention it. All right, it's hot as fuck, but we're getting somewhere. This side skirt is finally fitted up kind of nice. This actually didn't take as long as I thought. I hadn't used the heat gun before, or at least on the other side that I was working on. But the heat gun has been a lifesaver. So it's fitted up pretty nice, of course. This fits nicer when I push on it, but that'll all bolt down nice whenever I drill some holes. And then same with this up here. Like there's a gap, but when I push on it, it's all good. So I think whenever I get some bolts in there, it'll be chill. So I'm gonna leave this taped up and then eventually like kind of keep circling back with the heat gun, just making sure that it stays in form. But I'm gonna call that one done for now, leave it taped up. And then again, like I said, just come back and get her all bolted down when I'm ready. Next, I'm going to work on the bumper, the rear bumper. I kind of want to get like that quarter shot. So we have rear bumper, side skirt done, and then I'll work on the other side skirt whenever I'm done with the bumper. But first, I got to pull off the OEM one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for those sun rays. All right, we are moving along. The rear bumper was actually easier than I expected. Need a little bit of trimming, but overall it was not too bad to do. So this is kind of how we're looking right now. There's some gaps that I'm not too happy down there with, so I gotta get that tightened up just a hair. So I'm guessing I need to trim a little bit down here. It is almost 11, but it's Saturday, but I don't know, I just don't feel like being out here anymore. It's really humid, I need a shower, and I think I can finish up the rest of everything else tomorrow. I did have to remove the rear crash bar, unfortunately. I'll have to do something else about a tow hook, or maybe just reinstall the tow hooks only. I don't know if I can do that, but we'll see. For the front, I don't have a crash bar either because the OEM crash bar does not fit, and that's going to cause some problems, I think, with fitment and alignment with the headlights and the grille, but it's something I'll figure out when I get there. Anyways, tomorrow I will try and finish up this side skirt and get it all fitted nice, and then we'll move on to the front bumper, which is kind of the big hoorah of the final stretch of the body kit. Very excited, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna change the look of the car completely. All right, huge update. I've been grinding away, slaving away, trying to get things to fit nice. It's not completely there yet, but I have the front bumper on, I've got both side skirts on, and the rear bumper. So I'll give you a little spin around. Here we are. Front bumper looks pretty good from this angle. The driver's side fender is still fucked. I haven't really fixed it, so there's definitely some fitment issues over in this headlight, especially since this headlight's supported by the fender. But I think when I replace the fender, it'll fix a lot of those issues. So I kind of just threw it on roughly for now. This side skirt finally got it to fit somewhat decent. The front is all right. It'll be better when it's actually bolted down. And then the rear, it gave me a lot of trouble. This right here, this corner tore, doesn't fit still. I'm gonna have to repair this. So I've ordered some things. Whenever that comes in, I'll get that fixed and looking better. Rear bumper. The rear bumper is actually the best part. I've got it held on by a clamp right there, but the fitment's good. It looks pretty solid all around. Not any crazy gaps. And this is not even bolted together, by the way. This is just thrown on there with a clamp on this side and a clamp on the other. But gaps all look pretty OEM spec. This is a little low here, but I think I can fix that whenever I actually bolt this thing in. Same goes for this side. There is no bolts holding it in, but it's very flush here, and there's not really a gap here either. So that's pretty good. I didn't have to cut anything over here. I do have it on with some clamps there, just some vice grips. This side skirt fit pretty well, just dry. Didn't have to do too much for it. The rear fits pretty nice. I do have just tape on there. There's no clamps on this one, and it fits pretty good. The front is kind of the same way, but it's falling off right now just because it's held on by painter's tape. Anyways, that's kind of it. I'm gonna get this fender replaced eventually, and that should fix a lot of my alignment issues. This hood, I've been talking to a guy. He's gonna try and fix this for me. I just have to take it to him. It's up to me to do it. But very happy with the car overall. It needs a lot more tweaks and just kind of some things I want to get done on it over time, cosmetically wise. Like, I'm not really happy with this side marker, the side light, corner light. It's obviously a different color than the other things. Ordered them on eBay, and I just was an idiot when I ordered, and I didn't order the right ones. So I have to order more of these. These were cheap, but the ones that I want are more expensive, so I've been putting it off. But I will get those. Need to order some bumper lights for down there, and I'll make sure I buy the right ones that match the rest of the lighting. I still need headlight brackets in there. I still need the adapter harnesses for both lights. So still a lot of things that I need to do cosmetically, and I'll get to that eventually. Just kind of been putting it off because it costs money, and I'm not trying to spend it right now because I just bought this kit. Other than that, nothing's really been happening. I'm going to be diving into this car pretty soon. I would really like to get it out of here somewhat quick, which means I need to fix the wiring and get it running, and then I'll send it over to my friends to get painted. So that'll be nice to have some extra room in the shop. Though it's not too bad. For a 20 by 50, I've got 3 motorcycles, Chopper, Ninja, and the CB, and then 2 240s, and a Miata. So for a pretty small shop, a 20 by 50, really making our space use and trying to be efficient. But that will call it for tonight, and maybe even this video. I think the next video I'm hoping to maybe be finalizing everything with the car, which means getting that new fender, getting things, you know, lined up correctly, and then really getting it registered and getting it on the road. It's ready to drive. I drove it around the shop the other day and it drove way better. Definitely needs an alignment for the rear. It's not leaving tire marks anymore, which is good, but it still is a little wonky, as I can feel. Anyways, that's gonna call it for this video. I will hopefully upload sometime this year. We'll see the car on the road after the final touches. Exciting, cool, goodbye.